All right, guys, the big question going into the game, and it's the same question we had a week ago. Jeremiah Smith, Carnell Tate. Tim May, I'm going to start with you.
Uh-oh.
You were at the Ryan Day news conference. It's the same thing. It's going to be a game day decision, isn't it? As you stand here right now, look into your crystal ball, do either one of these guys play Saturday?
Yeah, I'm looking into the Caleb Downs crystal ball. I mean, I'm not a fool. When Jeremiah Smith say he'll probably play, you got to figure he'll probably play. There's a good chance he could have played last week, but he got better too late in the week to really step out there. But I can't imagine anything keeping Jeremiah Smith out of a game that was tailor-made for his presence. Carnell Tate, he's got we understand, a lower calf strain. Whether he will be feeling good enough on that thing to play in the game remains to be seen. But one of the two, it would be imperative for one of the two to make the scene.
How do you see it, DeVier? And I don't know, what are you hearing on Carnell? Mm-hmm. I mean, how bad is this injury?
Well, I meit's bad enough that he didn't.
And you worry about it spreading to the Achilles, right?
Yes, because you don't want a further injury with the calf strain, and it's a susceptible injury to an Achilles or a deeper calf strain like a grade 3 with the playoffs looming, Big Ten championship looming. We want to make sure that Carnell Tate is ready to go for our playoff run. If we have Jeremiah, ideally that would be good because Michigan really suffers in the back end in terms of horizontal and vertical passes when you stretch this team and then you go over top. So having our two best vertical pass stretchers would be great.
The other thing I want to ask you, Adam, and I've had so many people go, without those two guys, we don't look like the same team. And what happened to the passing game and all this? And they're throwing to the tight ends. And who's this Dave Adolph and all this stuff? Ladies and gentlemen, this is not breaking news, but Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate are the two best receivers in the United States of America. They're the two best college receivers in the world. And
there you go.
Let me just tell you what, Tim May and I would look pretty good throwing the football to those two guys, and obviously they're not the same team right now.
We don't know the receivers that Oxford has over in Europe, so we can't say in the world, but definitely in the United States. And you're right, Dom, it is the biggest talker. Everybody said, what in the world's wrong with the offense? What's wrong with the offense? I dare you to take Jamar Chase and T. Higgins out of the Bengals, and I can tell you what's wrong with their offense, even with Joe Burrow throwing the football. These are two guys that you cannot lose on the field if you want to win a national title. They are both going to be, Jeremiah's going to be the number 1 overall pick in the NFL draft. Carnell Tate right now is on pace to be a top 5 pick. And I understand that he sat out a month and people are worried about rust. But this is, you said, the playoff. This is the time you put him back in. And of course he wants to play in this game. Carnell Tate has never beaten Michigan. This is his last chance. He's going pro after this. So with it, everything has been cautious. I am, Dom, you ask an optimistic level. I'm 100% Jeremiah will play after what he said.
Feeling good about that.
Yeah. Yep. And then I'm probably 80% confident Carnell will play in this game.
But here's the other thing. Yeah, it was Rutgers. Rutgers is one of those teams you pile up touchdowns on, and finally at the end of the game you've beaten the heck out of them. But early it's pretty much a tug of war. Ohio State fumbles the ball going into the end zone, first possession. My point is they had a chance to score 49 points with those two guys sitting around. The reason is, this is a deep football team and not necessarily at wide receiver. Max Clare has taken up the slack. And then we've seen those two freshman running backs really come on. So there are more weapons here than I think people are giving them credit for. But you're right. It did look different because it wasn't quite as spectacular looking.
Mm-hmm. But here's the thing, too. We got to remember, it is a different day, Tim May, when it comes to the college football landscape. Obviously, NIL has affected a huge time, the transfer portal. But these kids now all have agents. They're all thinking about the next level, the next step. Yeah. And then you've got Coach Ryan Day that's thinking about, hey, this Michigan game is huge. It's big. You want to beat them. It's our rivals. But it's not the 10-year war. It's never going to be that again. No. Yeah. And don't tell me again, and I've said this before, don't tell me how important this Ohio State-Michigan game is, and then you might play them 3 times in a year. It could happen. Yeah. Where you get them in the end of the year, you get them in the Big Ten, and you get them in the playoff. That could happen, and that day will happen. But he's got to also play that because as big as this game is, you've got this silly Big Ten championship game that they'll have to play him, which is nothing but a money grab. But then
I don't know. It's pretty big this year.
It's huge this year. Wait a minute. It's still a money grab. Yeah. It is still a money grab, and it doesn't mean anything except seeding. Seeding to what? you got to make sure you got your horses for the playoffs, Tim.
Well, of course you do. And he and Mickey Marotti have set endless hours figuring out how to handle things based on what's happened before, based on the way things went last year. They lost 2 starting offensive linemen as year went on. Right. At the end of the year, they had the best offensive line in the country, which is crazy when you think about it, but a lot of planning, et cetera, goes into that. But you've always, when it's football, it is not war, but guys can get hurt and be gone. So similar to that in that respect. So you've always got to have the next man up, not just mentality, but have him ready to play.
DeVier, you played at the highest level. Let me ask you, how much is that in these guys' heads? They want to play in this game, but they also want to protect their future, right?
Yeah, I just think for this game, Don, in particular, all bets are off. This group, the guys who are draft eligible, the seniors, they don't have a Big Ten championship and they don't have a Michigan win yet. So, yes, they're in pain. Yes, they're limping into this game. But when you think about the levels of expectation for greatness that Caleb Downs has for himself and Jeremiah, those group of guys, Sonny Styles, Lorenzo Styles Jr., they're not leaving this place without putting it all out there to beat Michigan. So I think this is one of those situations where, yes, NIL is at play, yes, injuries and playoffs. But for this particular group inside that locker room, I think they have a personal vendetta that they have to solve, and they're going to be out there if that's on one leg or not.
Yes, and I agree. But I think, Adam, in my opinion, some of that has changed because of the playoff. And I think, I think that affects Ryan Day. And I think that affects, he's looking at the big picture. Nobody wants to beat Michigan more than Ryan Day. He wants that. But he also, the number one goal is to win a national title. And you want to have your horses for that. I mean, how conflicted is he, do you think?
I think any other year it would be very conflicting. Right now, and I kind of did the math here, I think there's a world, and we don't want to see that world, where Ohio State could lose this Saturday in Ann Arbor and still get a top 4 seed and still get a bye in the playoffs, which is a crazy thing to say, but that's where we are. With all of that said, I can't think of a more motivated team. I know you said the Big Ten playoff championship is a money grab, and there are times when Ohio State has won 4 in a row where you start to think, okay, does this game really matter? The Buckeyes haven't won a Big Ten title since Trey Sermon ran all over Northwestern. That was decades ago. I think DeVier was still playing back then. I cannot stress enough how important these next 2 weeks are for Ohio State as a program for personal pride.
Caden Curry.
Caden Curry.
Great example. Stated it last week that, they've got a nice, shiny national championship ring, but he doesn't have a pair of gold pants, and he doesn't have a Big Ten championship, not even an appearance in a Big Ten championship game, and he's from Indiana. I mean, it means a lot to these guys to finish this off, to get all 3 of those things instead of just one, because as Jim Trustell has said and others, there will be a hole in your resume.
It will.
A hole in your heart, really, if you aren't part of at least beating Michigan once.
Purdue has been to the Big Ten championship more recently than Ohio State. That is an insane statement.
I'm not saying it's not important, and I want to see it, but what I'm saying is it's silly. The league needs to do away with it, because ask Georgia last year how good the SEC championship was for them. Ask all the number 1 seeds that got a bye that played in it, how good it was for them.
That was my big line. Is everybody got a bye, it was more of a bye-bye.
God forbid you go into that thing and you get someone injured in that game, and then you got to go. I mean,
you can lose that game too, and then have to play 4 more games to win a national championship.
Right.
I mean, that's the real folly of it. But we're discussing the game, how much it means to these guys, and you can look in these players' eyes, man. Caleb Downs wants to beat Michigan.
Yeah.
I mean, right on down the line.
Absolutely.
Name everybody who's been here for a while, spilled some blood in that game. They want those gold pants.
And the other thing is, and I brought this up to Ryan Day. Woody Hayes and Arch Griffin used to say, thank goodness we didn't have a game after the game, because this is going to be a slobber knocker. I think there's going to be, from the time they get off that bus and get in that tunnel, that silliness they have up there. Yeah. I mean, I know they're going to be trying to antagonize the Buckeyes. You've been in that tunnel.
Yes. Yep.
And
did you chirp? Were you chirping in the tunnel?
They'll chirp.
At 7
They'll chirp, won't they?
At 7 a.m. And I think that's the mindset going up there, Dom. You have to be prepared for that. Yeah, you want to win. Yeah, you want a Big Ten championship, all the glory and glitz and glamour. But bottom line, this is a street fight. And it's a street fight that's been building up a lot since post fourth quarter last year, when all that scrimmage and stuff happened on the field. So for these Buckeyes, this senior class, how do you go into this place and say, hey, we don't want to get out of character. We need to stay in character, stay focused on our mission and our game plan, and not let this game get muddy and act like the tunnel on the field. We need to have clean operations. We need to execute, and we need to play with a veracity and a ferociousness that has 6 years built up, that has each play a little extra, little harder hit. So I'm looking forward to these guys getting out there, Dom, and seeing what they can do.
Well, and a variety. They need to play with a variety. I mean, that's what Ohio State offers that maybe Michigan doesn't in this game from an offensive standpoint.
Well, we had the tunnel basically on the field to end last year's game with the nonsense.
Yes.
It's more of a tunnel fight. It's more like a tunnel fight.
Yeah, well, it was something.
That's crazy.
And, you know, Tim May, there is so much water under the dam, and it's all coming from those guys up north.
That's an Earl Bruce quote.
It's just only them.
Stallions and all that. Yeah. I mean, and then you've got the guy who works for Fox saying, you know, running his mouth talking about Coach
Dave
Day.
Portnoy.
I don't say his name.
Oh, okay.
Talking all that, and then talking about how, Ohio State had games taken away. We didn't have any taken away and all that. And then, you know, all that
you're getting built.
It's okay.
You're getting built up here. Yeah,
but you know what?
Okay.
If I'm built up, you know who else is
But
built
here's
up.
the thing, Dom. Think back to last year's game. You can have all that going for you. You can have every fan in the stand rooting for you. You still got to make the plays. The guys have got to make the plays on the field. That's what makes the difference in this game. This game almost always turns on some huge play.
Yeah.
But I thought last year Jack Sawyer's interception on a little wide shallow route they ran right behind him where he snuck in there. That was it. That was going to be the Jack Sawyer
But the
play
stuff that they
in Columbus
of his career. Let me finish.
That's right.
But it turned out not to be that way because the offense couldn't move the ball after that, and then they got the short field goal and win the game. And then of course Jack Sawyer had another chance at a big play and he came through on that.
But the stuff that they've done, Tim, the stuff that they've done should not be overlooked.
Oh, I agree with that.
And the conference,
but it's still in the rearview mirror.
Not to the guys right up the street.
Not to this guy right here.
But that's it right there. That
gets you going. That gets you going.
Yeah,
but you still got to go do it.
Shouldn't it get them going?
Well, I think yes, it should get us going. But last year, I think as an organization, as a fan base, we fell victim to that mindset of like, hey, revenge.
Yeah, we've been wronged,
and we wanted it to be a bully ball game, and we got out of character.
Yeah.
Bottom line, I don't think Julian Sand has had his Heisman moment yet. This weekend with Jeremiah limping, Carnell Tate doubtful, we still have the best quarterback in the country, and he's able to still operate this offense at a super efficient level with the playmakers he has in place. I think this weekend, this guy, if he doesn't get into that, if Julian isn't rattled and he can handle this environment, he can lead this team with his demeanor and execute at a very high level, not getting out of character.
What I saw from Ryan Day today told me all I need to know about how they're preparing for this game. And I understand you're frustrated, and I understand that you have a message for Dave Portnoy. And I do think all of that is firing them up. But Ryan seemed more relaxed in this press conference than any press conference I've ever seen him in. I mean, to say that kicking butt is fun is quite the statement.
That wasn't the word he used.
I'm not allowed to use the word he used, Tim. But to say that, and he's a guy that doesn't give sound bites just for fun. He's not out there, to be
everything he does is calculated.
It is. Yes. And so that he looked like a guy at the podium that for the first time for this week is excited for the opportunity. He wasn't angry and revengeful and wanting to go make a statement and get these guys back. He was a guy that's like, all right, we've got a great team. Let's go make a great point. How about the statement
he made about having a defense like this gives you confidence? You should. I mean, that was a pretty interesting statement, just talking about his defense and the level it's playing on, and he anticipates that being the norm for Saturday. So, there's a lot about Ryan Day. I mean, he's really come on in the quote variety too, as in physical play. You know, he goes like several weeks ago. We're hunting it. We're hunting it up on game days. I mean, he's feeling pretty good about his defense for sure.
Well, I think he's learned a lot. The last 4 years have been very, very tough for him and his family, and I think he learned a lot. There's pressure, as he joked in the interview I did with him the other day. There's always going to be pressure. That's not changing. But there was so much said and directed at him, DeVier.
Yes.
Born on third base, and they're not physical, and they're not what. And unfortunately, I think he took the bait, and I think he allowed that to get into his head. And I don't know. I mean, I think his coming to moment was last year, that team meeting after the game. And to me, obviously winning a national title, they can't ever take that away. He's a national championship coach. But I think that team meeting between the players and him, and I have noticed a different man all season long and ever since that moment. And we don't know for sure. No one knows for sure what happened in that meeting.
Yep.
But whatever that happened in that meeting changed the team, and I think it changed him for the better.
Yeah, and I think it changed the trajectory of our program, and you feel like we're entering a dynasty phase with the way that we're able to operate. We won a national championship, but you hear whispers coming from the Woody that Ryan Day's focus is intensified, that he's asking more from the players, he's asking more from the coaching staff.
Well, he raised the grading average.
He raised the grading average, so we're all working on a higher scale of just productivity each day under Coach Day, and the fact that he has that mindset of, hey, we're in a national championship picture every time I'm here at Coach because I don't lose the games I'm supposed to lose. I win those games, and in these games like Michigan games and Texas game this season, he has to come and perform. And I think what he has up here, he's bringing a lot more to the table than any other coach in the country just because of his past experiences with Michigan, his past experiences with great teams. So how do you go into this game and not overcoach and not overthink each play call? You just let it flow in those interviews, like you're saying this week, Adam. You get that sense that he's kind of let that stuff go and he's allowing his coaching abilities to take over this year.
What we saw last year was a movement from good to great in Ryan Day, because a lot of coaches wouldn't have handled that post-Michigan malaise like he did. They wouldn't have had the assurance. They wouldn't have had the confidence to go into a players-only meeting, lay out for them, do a mea culpa in front of them, but also y'all could have played better. I mean, lay it all out on the line, then turn it over to them. The spiritual component in that team was unbelievable. Right. And it's back again this year. But to have a coach to have the confidence in what he's doing, but also to learn along the way is huge. I mean, Ryan Day is now among the elite because of the way he handled that situation, and he's grown from there. Jim Trussell, I had him on my podcast last week before he rang the bell, and he was talking about Ryan is always looking for new ways to do things. I mean, he's not just sitting there, this is the way we're going to run the I formation, and we're going to run it down your throat. He's always looking for new ways to block, all these little different increments that make up for a big-time football team. And I think we really saw him go from good to great last year.
And, Adam, here's the thing, and Tim said this earlier, and, I like to say defense wins championships. Well, I'm going to tell you what. I am a huge Matt Patricia fan, a huge Timmy Walton fan. Yeah. I love what this defensive staff has done. And I'm telling you what, Matt Patricia, this moment is not too big for him. We're talking about a guy that coached in the National Football League. He worked for Bill Belichick. He won 3 Super Bowls.
Yeah.
And when I talked to him about this opportunity, you want to talk about comfortability. He was smiling, and I've said it before, and I'll say it again. He's been playing chess, and everyone's playing checkers. I can't wait. And he's got stuff that he's been holding back for this game, and I think hell is coming to Ann Arbor in the form of Ohio State's defense on Saturday.
I absolutely agree. I think it's interesting, and this is an element that I don't think enough people have talked about, but the people of the great state of Michigan were the first to tell Ohio State fans that Matt Patricia was the worst hire in the world.
Absolutely.
You guys, this is hilarious. He's the worst. This is going to be awful. Well, Matt Patricia can go back to a state that has not particularly been very nice to him and can make quite
Still doesn't like him, by the way.
Quite the statement on Saturday. And I do think that he has spent a lot of time, whether they'll outwardly admit it, scheming up for this game, knowing that it was almost like a mini training camp the last 3 weeks. They know they were going to beat Rutgers. They knew they were going to beat UCLA, and I can't remember who, Purdue. They knew they were going to win that game. So they had an opportunity behind the scenes to prepare for this. But I think going back to the bigger picture here, the one thing, and I kind of looked last night at everything, and it reminded me when Chip Kelly is now back on the block for coaching and could one day make his way back into the Woody.
Yeah.
That Ohio State is no longer a college football program. And I think that is what has changed in not just the last couple years. Since that Michigan meeting, they have shifted to a mindset of, we are here to make sure you are a top overall draft pick, that we are running this with as many analysts, as many eyes, as many people as can tell me what they think as possible. and it's turned Ohio State. Oklahoma's a great college program. Indiana's a great college program. But it feels like Ohio State is a genuine, like, I don't know, G League for the NFL right now. And it's a lot of it is because of the coaching you're talking about with Matt Patricia, who's bringing an NFL mindset. Chip Kelly, who brought that NFL mindset. And now all these guys in there with 400 analysts. There's so many guys that have coached on the highest level.
People can talk about expectations. There are expectations from Ryan Day down to be excellent. I mean, no excuses. There are demands there. They'll help you along and stuff, but they expect you when they bring you to Ohio State as a player to play, to execute, to get the job done. I mean, that's what you're talking about. It's a totally different mindset than maybe 7, 8 years ago.
Well, it's pro football, and and we're witnessing this becoming a pro league.
But not everywhere.
And that's why some of the but it's heading that way, and they're all going to be
Ohio
that.
State is
those that want to be part of the relevant, they're going to go Ohio State. Ryan Day's writing the book on how it needs to be done.
Correct.
I want to go back to the defense, DeVier. They have a rookie quarterback, Bryce Underwood.
$8 million man.
And, well, I heard 10, but whatever.
Oh, whatever, yeah.
Is Matt Patricia going to just turn him loose? Is he going to get blitzed like he doesn't know what's coming?
No, I think that's the thing with Underwood and every quarterback. Matt Patricia has been able to give every quarterback that we've played this season a hard time, whether that's pre-snap reads, whether that's picking up blitzes, whether that's just IDing formation and where's number 2 at, where's number 8, and where's number 0. You got to find those 3 guys every play. And I think for a freshman quarterback, I remember when Terrell Pryor was starting as a freshman in this Michigan game, and there's a big physical team. You got Brandon Graham and guys like Leon Hall up there still playing. And so you bring that guy up there into Ann Arbor, we're seeing pressures. Our offensive linemen are getting tested. Our running backs are stepping up in blitzes. So now that script is flipped, and it's on Michigan with the rookie quarterback to handle the best defense in the country with probably some of the top draft picks. It's not favorable for him. And so he can't throw the ball as well as Archie Manning, and he struggled. So I expect, Dom, a heavy gadget look. They're going to be running a lot of plays to try and get the ball in his hands and get him out on the edges. We're going to have to tackle in the open field. And defensively, going to Ann Arbor, you're not really worried, like, hey, we got to stop, J.J. McCarthy and all these guys that they have. No, we have to go and play our game, and offensively, Julian has to lead us.
The mind game is what Matt Patricia's played to the hilt, along with Tim Walton and that whole defensive staff. They've also got, 3 redshirt freshmen starting on the offensive line. That's where a mind game can be played with Caden McDonald, Caden Curry, and all those other guys. I mean, there are all kinds of ways they're going to get after this guy. Now, having said that, I don't mean to pull a cloud over it, but, J.J. McCarthy, first time he came to Ohio State, they hadn't thrown the ball deep almost all year. What'd they do? They snookered Ohio State, threw the ball deep to a tight end, threw the ball out wide to a wide receiver, threw the ball down the field like they hadn't all year. What do? They upset Ohio State several years ago. You never know what's coming from the other team. This Andrew Marsh kid has really stepped up, the freshman wide receiver, as fast as almost anybody on the field will be on Saturday. I mean, he has really kind of come into his own the last couple of games. So they're going to be a different team than they were even 3 or 4 weeks ago. They obviously lost Justice Haynes, their big-time running back, but the Marshall kid is playing extremely well right now.
Although he's hurt.
Yeah, he was hurt last week, but everybody claims he could have played anyway. And inside knowledge is he's looked pretty good this week. Who knows, right? But they're going to have some things for you. But the great thing about this defense, I don't know if y'all agree, I've talked about it on my show a long time ago. This is a smart defense.
Yeah.
From Caleb Downs on down, smart defense led by really smart guys in the coaching staff. That's what's really stood out to me about this.
Obviously, Matt Patricia's game planning, trying to figure out what they're going to do. Smart money is saying that they're going to try to control the clock and run the football down Ohio State. Can they run the ball against this defense?
Well,
we're going to find out.
Caden McDonald is one of the best run stoppers in college football. I mean, I wouldn't try to run it at Caden McDonald, but then I wouldn't want to run it at Caden Curry.
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't want to run it at Kenyatta Jackson. So, I mean, and then you got Arvell Reese. You guys ever heard of him? He might come down and stop the run. I mean, Ohio State's run defense has been one of its strengths this season.
There's the man.
Yeah, and so I understand that's going to be the game plan. What worries me more, Dom, yes, they're going to control the clock. Their goal is to keep the ball out of Ohio State's hands. That's always been their goal.
And run long drives.
Yeah. Well, what worries me is the word you used, which is gadget, because that is Michigan to a T.
Yep.
Rutgers ran a play last week where they ran a little play action and the tight end just kind of snuck out and he was wide open. And I thought that is a copy-paste of what Michigan will try to do against Ohio State. So everything for this defense is about being sound and playing as you have all year.
And Tim May, you look at what bit them the last couple years, and I feel like the defense let Ohio State down in those losses because long drives and not being able to make a stop.
Yep.
That's why I'm excited. I think that they may have found, with Matt Patricia and this defensive coaching staff and the buy-in from these players.
Yeah.
I mean, Ryan Day's big thing is we got to get 3 and outs. We got to get 3 and outs.
Right.
This is the game. You got to get 3 and outs.
It keeps you fresh on defense. Number one, it gives your offense the ball, but all kinds of things that come into it. Bottom line is whenever you're on whatever side of the ball you're on, when you're on the field, you've got to feel imperative that series counts as much as any other. Mm-hmm. If you follow my drift there, when you've got the ball in your hands, you can be having a bad day defensively, but when you've got the ball in your hands, you got to go do something with it. The great example was the game of the century in 2006, which turned into a scoring fest. Bo Schembechler had just died. He and Woody Hayes were in heaven going, what the heck is this? I've never seen this kind of football. What was it, 42-39, right?
Yep.
Whatever it takes, as Ryan said in his press conference this week, you got to get more points, basically. Julian Saban's got to produce touchdowns and produce more points than the other team. That's what it always comes down to. As simplistic as that.
As simplistic as this going to be, DeVier, offensively, what do we see out of Ohio State? And obviously you're hoping both those receivers are there, but I think Ohio State has better talent across the boards on offense. Does Ryan Day turn them loose?
Yeah, I think for the most part, like Adam has mentioned, these last 3 weeks were a training camp look at getting our run game established. Purdue, Bo Jackson is able to get rolling, and obviously Rutgers were able to move the ball down the field, rushing it. We don't go into this game saying we're going to run the ball down Michigan's throat. They have a great D-line. They still have great interior players. So Bo Jackson, a freshman from up north, from Cleveland, I don't know, in his first Buckeye game, is he a 100-yard rusher? We don't know. But I do know we have Julian Saban that can get the ball quick out of his hands. We can get it to the flat. We have guys that can get open and underneath routes. And staying on pace with first downs, stringing 8-play, 9-play, 12-play drives together where, like you're saying, if that's Michigan's plan, for us, we're going to score efficiently. We're going to move the ball down the field, execute short dink-and-dunk routes if we don't need to go up top because Jeremiah is there. And guys, it's like we don't need to make football more, serious than it needs to be. Like we don't need a trick play. We don't need to have Carnell Tate running full speed. If Julian Saban can execute the underneath passes to Max Clare, Jeremiah, guys like Brandon Ennis, we're going to move the ball down the field. We'll pick up our 6 to 3 yards every time, and we'll stay on pace.
It's funny.
That's enough.
Yeah, that book he had those guys read, the Buckeyes read over the summer, chopping wood, carrying water.
That's enough.
Or to have another part of it for this game, which is driving the nail. I mean, that's what they need to just keep in their mind is driving the nail, whatever that takes. And driving the nail means scoring.
Yep.
Figuring out ways
finishing
to
drives.
Finishing drives.
All right, last thing before predictions. Adam, who on offense, I mean, we obviously hope Carnell and Jeremiah are out there and light them up. But if it's not those two guys, who's going to step up? Who's going to be the star of the game offensively?
I do think Carnell and Jeremiah will both play. I certainly believe they'll both give it a go in pregame warmups.
Yeah.
I think Jeremiah is probably a lock now, but I still don't think that they'll be the stars of the game. I think the star of the game is going to be Max Clare. Somebody pointed out to me this week, they sent me a text, I can't remember who it was, and they said, go look at Michigan against the tight ends. And so I went and did my research on it, and Michigan is one of the worst Power 4 teams when it comes to yards against tight ends. And so with that, if Max Clare can go out there, it's almost ironic because we've waited all year to see
Yes.
what he was brought in to do and
Yes.
to be that star receiver. This is that moment for Max Clare. And listen, I don't know what the line is, but I think there's a world where you take Max Clare like over 100 yards in this game. I think he is going to be the playmaker for the Buckeyes that they have to lean on. Whether Carnell Tate or Jeremiah Smith are out there, But it'd be very helpful to have both of those guys as well.
Well, let's hope you're right. All right now, prediction time. Tim May, we're going to start with you. How do you see this game going? Who wins and what's your score?
Well, Adam's selling Max Clare. I'm buying. I think he's going to be huge in this game. I mean, he's the best tight end in this game. You haven't always been able to say that about Ohio State going into this game because Michigan's had a long line of big-time playmaking tight ends, but that will be a huge part of this. But if Jeremiah Smith is on the field, it makes a huge difference. If Carnell Tate's also on the field, it puts Ohio State over the top. Ohio State has a lot of weapons, including that freshman running back, Bo Jackson, and the way that running game has come on. I see Ohio State prevailing 31-10 because I really, truly believe Julian Sayin is going to find a comfort level in this game. If everybody else does, they'll be smooth sailing.
All right, DeVier Posey, how do you see the game going? Your score?
I'm going to piggyback off Tim and say this is Julian Sayin's Heisman moment. I'm going to take the Buckeyes 28-10. It's going to be a scrappy game, but I think we're able to move the ball downfield with his efficiency, his feet, his hips, his accuracy, being able to dink and dunk. Yeah, we might not have the best playmakers in the country, but we also have the best quarterback in the country. And for the first time in this rivalry since C.J. Stroud and Justin Fields' days, we have the best quarterback. And if he can have his moment, I think our defense will support him no matter what happens. He's going to take care of the football. He's been eerily good and eerily calm. Mr. Smooth from California, he's going to get it done in the Michigan game.
AK, how do you see it?
Mr. Maroon 5.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, there you go.
I think when I look at this game, the one that I think it most compares to in the end is the Ohio State-Penn State game. I think it's going to play out in a very similar fashion to what we saw there. Penn State hung around with the Buckeyes. They made it close there after a couple mistakes from Ohio State. I don't know if that's going to happen, but Michigan is a very good team. This is going to be a very close game at half. Going up there, this game being in Ann Arbor cannot be overlooked. That crowd is going to play a factor. Ohio State's got to want to silence them early. I think they go to the locker room. I think Ohio State's probably leading a little bit. And then in the second half, much like they did against Penn State, they open it up and they start pouring it on. Yep. I think Ohio State gets a late score to make it 31-17. And I think the Buckeyes, it's going to be a lot of celebrating on the flight home.
Well, to channel the great Earl Bruce, there is a lot of water under this dam. And this Ohio State football team has been on a slow burn, for a number of reasons. First of all, now they're hearing from all the supposed experts that said Arch Manning was going to win the Heisman, the supposed experts that said Texas was the best team in the country, the supposed experts that had Penn State at number 2, and Ohio State dispatched all of them, handled them. Now Ohio State hasn't played anyone. They haven't played a tough schedule. You know what? I'm not listening anymore to the supposed experts. Secondly,
Said the supposed expert.
Huh?
Said the supposed expert.
I'm not saying I'm an expert. I'm giving my.
You're sounding like one.
But
you
let me
sound
tell
great.
you what.
You're
Let me
bringing
tell
the
you
volume.
what. We've been pretty right when it comes to Ohio State.
Yes, we have.
Second thing, let me tell you what. There is a lot of stuff that has taken place out of that team up north. That gentleman that works for Fox running his mouth and all that. Ohio State has filed it all away, and it's in the back of their minds. And you know what? Jim Tressel, Urban Meyer, Woody Hayes, they always said, you don't want to be that guy. You don't want to be the guy to put you up on the bulletin board. Well, guess what? They've done nothing up there but fuel Ohio State's fire. Ryan Day, born on third base. His football team's not mentally and physically tough and all that stuff. Guess what? I'm taking Ohio State to win 35-14. I think Matt Patricia is going to turn that defense loose. I think the defense is going to score in this game. I also think we're going to see a special teams play, either a punt or kick return. I think it's going to happen, and I think there's a reckoning coming to Ann Arbor.
If we had a congregation, they'd be screaming, amen.
Hey,
I think it's coming, and it's time. And you know what? Let's play this game. I like Ohio State 35-14.
All right, everybody take a deep breath. Wow, that was beautiful.
Keep it on.
You really don't like Dave Portnoy, do you?
I don't even know his name.
To him, that's just a bunch of port noise.
That's right.
I don't know his name. He's just, I'm trying to take. And you know what? Michigan's a great team. I got great respect for him. One of my dearest friends was Bo Schembechler. But I don't particularly care for what has taken place up there. And it is time.
Well, Michigan's also, I think we haven't talked about this in this whole thing. They're the number 18 team in the country. They're playing for a spot in the playoffs. Like, this is a really good Michigan team. It is not the same Michigan team as last year.
they're a very good football team, and I can say they're very good, and I got respect for them. But some of the nonsense that's happened, Bo Schembechler would not have liked what's going on up there.
Don't particularly care for
Ryan
it.
Day has kept focus on what's ahead,
Yep.
day to day to day. That will pay off for this football team on Saturday at Ann Arbor.
He's Tim May. Check him out, 97.1, and the Tim May Show. DeVier Posey, 97.1. And Adam and I, we're always on 10 TV, 10 TV Plus, and 97.1 The Fan. Simply put, this is the best Buckeye coverage there is.